They say love don't make mistakes. It's kinda like a fixed race. Some things you just can't change. And I'm yours, like the water finds the ocean, like a morning glowing golden, like a hand that's always open. And I'm yours. I'm yours. I'm yours. And I'm yours. I'm yours. I'm yours.
The angle of vision that the saints have is that everything that came from God is good.
A szentek látásmódja az, hogy minden, ami Istenből ered, az jó.
And so for us to be truly happy, we need to experience God in our own life.
És számunkra, hogyha el akarjuk érni az igazi boldogságot, meg kell tapasztalnunk Istent a saját életünkben.
The saints say that there are worlds beyond the physical world.
És a szentek azt mondják, hogy léteznek világok a fizikain túl is.
And as we sit in silence, we are able to enter those worlds.
És amikor csendben ülünk, akkor képessé válunk arra, hogy belépjünk azokba a világokba.
And those regions are full of love.
És azok a régiók telítettek
peace.
Szeretettel, békével
And full of bliss.
és üdvösséggel.
And as we go on the spiritual journey,
És amikor elindulunk a spirituális utazáson,
we start to experience ourselves as we truly are,
elkezdjük valódi önmagunként megtapasztalni magunkat
at the level of our soul.
a lélek szintjén.
I've been doing volunteering with the young adults for a few years now, and it's been honestly an amazing journey, just meeting young adults that are also interested in spirituality and doing volunteering together. And whenever we have gatherings like this one today in Europe with Maharaj in person, it's just a dream.
I'm Martin. I was initiated 2 years ago in Budapest, and I am really grateful to be on the path, because the path and Maharajji have taught me to be calm despite the difficulties and tribulations that may appear.
I'm from Hungary. Right now we are here with Maharajji in Budapest in 2025. And the way I know Maharajji is that since I was 3 years old, because he came to Miskolc into Hungary, and the community in Hungary was still very small at that time. And when Maharajji was walking, I just jumped out of my mother's lap and I just ran towards him. And so my mother actually found me sitting in front of him and listening to whatever he was saying.
Dear brothers and sisters, I'd like to welcome all of you at the International Meditation Center here in Lyle. And as we gather here from many different parts of the world, I want to use this time today to be able to understand the spiritual path better. And so many questions come regarding the spiritual path, because it's followed in many different parts of the world by people of various faiths and various cultures. And so for questions, clarification of how to put the path in our life start to set in. So by addressing some of the questions, we all gain. A question of one person might answer the needs of many others. So let us address some of the questions that came this week.
How can we deal with anxiety that arises from uncertainty and insecurities?
Many of us, as we pass through life, have many ups and downs. And we on our own have a feeling within ourselves as to how things should be happening. And when things don't happen according to the way we feel they should happen, then there's turmoil in our lives. There's insecurities. We're not sure why they didn't happen the way we wanted them to. And it puts us in turmoil, and there's no happiness. The key is to focus on what are our expectations of life itself, and what are our expectations about any kind of interaction that we have in life. And are our expectations realistic? Because when we start to look at life, and we start to look at it from a realistic point of view, then we'll find that our expectations would be such which makes sense. But if we look at life from only our point of vision, and if we are not very astute about what our expectations are, then when those are not met, we get devastated. And so insecurities come in our life because what we want or what we feel we want is not happening. And so the way to deal with it would be to be more realistic in our expectations, to also know that our job or our activity should be such where we do our very best in all kinds of circumstances. As an example, let's say many people feel that at work they don't get promoted, but other people who are not working as hard get promoted. Okay. Many people feel that their bosses or their ones that they need to report to don't know anything, and we don't know why they got promoted. We need to recognize that those people are in the positions in which they are, and we need to focus on what are our abilities that we need to fine-tune. Should we look at ourselves and see, truly are we doing the kind of thing that we should do to be successful in the workplace? And focus on those arenas in which we might be weak, which we might need help, and get that help so that we can be better. So our expectations need to be realistic and not be based on what we think we want. And that's the key. And when we realize that our expectation should be one way, then all other things are going to fall into place. And so insecurities are going to be coming when we are looking more at, let's say, quote-unquote, our ego, than to look at the whole picture with a vision in which we look what would the benefit be to everyone else who's connected in that environment. And once we start to think like that, when we start to look at things more carefully, then we'll find that the insecurities will automatically go away. Also, when you are in a state where you are very insecure, the insecurity make our life very stressful. And the more stress we have in life, the more difficult it is for us to deal with other aspects. Because we could be insecure, let's say, at a place of work, we could be insecure in our relationships with others, we could be insecure because our physical health is not as well as I think it should be, we could be insecure in any arena, and the effect of that is that other aspects of our life also get affected. And so, as we sit in silence, As we meditate, we are calming ourselves down. We are stilling ourselves, and the more we can do that, the better our chances of being able to deal with those insecurities.
What is the difference between taking pity on someone and having compassion for them?
Pity and compassion are confused many times. When we try to understand the word pity, generally the word pity is associated with feeling bad for someone who's going through a difficult time, but feeling in a sense in which we feel we are better off than them. Like we pity that someone was unable to, let's say, be in a state where they can put food on the table. Okay? And so we are looking down on them that they were not successful, that they did not get what they could get. But we don't do anything about it. We just pity them and then we run away. Whereas compassion is when we find someone who's going through a difficult period, is to be in a state where we make them realize that, okay, we want to help. We share in your pain. We maybe have gone through the same things ourselves. Maybe we experience the same state ourselves. So compassion is a state in which when we find someone who's going through a difficult time, that we feel for them tremendously, that we want to help, and we have either experienced that state ourselves before, or we have the means to be able to deal with it. Whereas pity is like kind of little bit looking down on someone, that they were unable to be able to provide for themselves, whether it's physical provision or financial provision or their relationships or any other activity. So on the spiritual path, I would say definitely to be compassionate is much better than to have pity on someone else. Because when you're compassionate, then you are showing that you care. And when you show that you care, then you're also showing that you share with other your resources. And so being compassionate is very, very good, because then it helps the other person who's going through a difficult period. It helps us, because if God has given us some gifts, then we can use them to make someone else's life better. And so we definitely want to put the traits of compassion in our being. Pity is when you're like looking down on someone. It's not a good state to be in, because many times in that state we say things that make the other person feel very, very bad. As it is, they're going through a difficult period, and then you come down and say, oh, you don't have the skills, or you don't know what to do, and you can scold them, and then their life is more miserable. So I would say, whether in the spiritual path or not on the spiritual path, being compassionate is definitely the right way of going.
How can we please God?
God has been very gracious on each and every one of us. Think of the billions and trillions of souls which are out there in the universe. And just a few, like 8 billion souls were picked up to have the human birth. So whatever country we're born in, whatever faith we have, whatever culture we have, doesn't matter. We should know we're the chosen ones. Because someone picked us up. Why? We don't know. But we got picked up, that we know. So living in the present, we know that we got picked up. We have the human body. And that's the roof and crown of all creation. So God took our soul and gave us this existence. And so God gave us this existence with a purpose. And that purpose is to find our oneness with God, to know ourselves and to know God. So when we fulfill that purpose, then God is very happy. And so Sant Singh Ji Maharaj would often say, as we lead our life, do those things which are bringing us closer and closer to God. Those things that are making us realize who we are, those things that are having a soul go on the spiritual journey, those activities that would help us make our soul merge in God. And as we look into history, as we look at the lives of the great saints and mystics, who've been the sources through whose teachings we've been able to connect with God, then all of them talk about some very basic principles that are very good. To lead an ethical life, to be loving, to be caring, to be able to meditate properly, to be able to help others, discharge a responsibility in the best of manners. So all of these are very good to do. But the key is to be able to meditate, to be able to connect with our soul, to be able to connect with the divine power of light and sound of God, the two primal manifestations of God, which is within each and every one of us. So God is pleased with those who love God, because those are the people who are going to be able to find their connection with God. And so loving God doesn't mean that we just get up and say, God, I love you, God, I love you. It means that we do the kind of things that God has sent us here to do. And so when we talk about loving God, it means like we live under God's will. And what is God's will is that we merge our soul back in God, that we find the oneness with God. So when our activities as we live in this world are focused on being able to take steps towards that oneness, then those are all good things to do. So God is pleased with them. But when we take steps which deviate from that, when we take steps which are taking us further away from God, then God is not that happy with us. So we want to have God be happy with us, then we need to do things which are bringing us closer and closer to God. And those are all living ethical lives, meditating, and be focused on God, to be loving and caring. And so that aspect of life needs to be focused on. And so that our attention is on the Creator, our attention is on God. And even though as we go through the activities of the world, because we need to survive in this world, so as we put in an effort to make a living and be able to provide for ourselves and our families, that our attention is on God as we go through these activities of the world outside. So those who focus on God, those who meditate, those who connect with the divine light and sound of God, are the ones who are going to reach their goals. And that is what pleases God.
How can we focus on our spiritual progress as we age?
As you go in the upper years of life, I think we start to realize that time is ticking away. And we start to see our loved ones, whether it be parents, grandparents, friends, people we're close to, family members pass away physically. We start to think about the impermanence of life, and also the need to be able to focus on those activities which will help us benefit from this human birth that we have. Okay. So meditation is very good. There's nothing better than meditation. Selfless service is very good. Helping others without any expectation of any rewards for ourselves. Along with these two things, I think one of the things that is also very useful is to be realistic in what we're doing. And by being realistic, I mean to take a good look at ourselves. we have the introspection diary. And so to introspect is very important. To look at ourselves carefully as to how we're leading a life, are we truthful, are we loving, are we caring, and then to fix those problems so that those pains are less and less and less is very important. So to look at ourselves properly is very important. See, if we don't look at ourselves periodically, then many times we keep on doing things, we think we're doing the right thing, but we haven't looked at it very carefully to know that it's the right way of going. So we might be doing something which is not correct and not look at it and feel that we're doing the right thing. So to look at ourselves very objectively is very important so that we are able to pinpoint how our life is going. And so I would say adding introspection is important. I would also say, like, if God has given us the gifts in abundance, then whatever is in abundance of what we need for ourselves, then to be able to share with others is important. To be able to use what God has given us for the benefit of others is very important too. And I would focus on those areas along with meditation and selfless service to make our own life better and the lives of others better, to be taking steps towards our goal. So let us meditate for a few minutes, and as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the Mysteries of the Beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. So I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light in its effulgence. I will be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. please leave off.